The city of Los Angeles buzzed with its usual frenetic energy, a kaleidoscope of contrasts. On one end were sprawling homeless encampments where desperation and hope coexisted under the harsh Californian sun. On the other end were pristine storefronts, showcasing luxury cars, designer goods, and the promises of a life far removed from struggle. Benny stood somewhere in between, leaning against a graffiti-covered wall, holding a tattered cardboard sign that read, "Anything helps. God bless." Life for Benny had never been this bleak. Once a college dropout who thought he'd figure things out someday, that someday had never come. The years had been cruel, and now, at 36, Benny found himself among the city's countless invisible souls, surviving on the edge of nothing. On most days, his presence was met with indifference. People hurried past without so much as a glance, their eyes fixed on their own problems. But today felt different. Across the street, a crowd had gathered outside a Tesla showroom. Benny couldn't help but notice the unmistakable figure stepping out of the sleek glass doors, Elon Musk himself. The billionaire's presence radiated an aura of magnetism, drawing the attention of everyone around him. Photographers clicked away while a group of assistants hovered nearby, hanging on his every word. For a moment, Benny felt a pang of resentment. How could one man hold so much wealth and influence while others like him were fighting just to stay alive? But then a strange thought entered his mind. What if I just asked him for something? What's the worst that could happen? Before he could second-guess himself, Benny moved toward the sidewalk where Elon was walking. His heart pounded as he closed the gap, adrenaline drowning out the voices of doubt in his mind. Taking a deep breath, he called out, "Hey man, can you give me $1?" The words hung in the air like a challenge. Benny expected Elon to ignore him or, at best, toss a bill in his direction without a second thought. But to his astonishment, Elon stopped in his tracks. The billionaire turned slowly, his piercing gaze locking onto Benny. For a moment, it felt like the entire world had gone silent. The assistants froze mid-step, and even the clicking cameras seemed to pause. Elon tilted, his head as if assessing Benny's entire life story in a single glance. $1? Elon repeated, his voice almost curious. Benny nodded, his mouth suddenly dry. Elon broke into a faint smile, one that didn't quite reach his eyes. "I won't give you $1, he said finally, "but I'll give you something. Better." Benny blinked, confused. "Better? Like what?" "Come back here tomorrow at noon," Elon replied, ignoring the murmurs from his entourage. "I have an idea." Before Benny could ask for clarification, Elon turned and strode toward the awaiting Tesla, his assistants trailing behind him. Within seconds, the sleek vehicle disappeared into the city's traffic, leaving Benny standing there, dumbfounded. For a long moment, Benny remained rooted to the spot, clutching his battered sign. The other homeless people nearby stared at him, their expressions ranging from incredulity to envy. One of them finally broke the silence. "What did you say to him?" the man asked. Benny shook his head. "I just asked for $1. The man laughed a sharp, bitter sound. "And what did he say? Gonna give you a Tesla?" Benny shrugged, his mind still reeling. "He said to meet him tomorrow." The laughter faded. The man gave Benny a skeptical look but didn't press further. As the sun began to set, Benny walked back to his usual sleeping spot under a nearby overpass. His mind raced with possibilities, each one more outlandish than the last. Was this some kind of joke? A cruel test? Or could it really be an opportunity? That night, as Benny lay on the cold concrete, staring up at the stars peeking through the smog-filled sky, he allowed himself to feel something he hadn't felt in years, a spark of hope. Whatever awaited him tomorrow, it couldn't be worse than the life he was already living. For the first time in a long while, Benny drifted off, to sleep thinking about the possibilities of better. Benny awoke with an uncharacteristic feeling of anticipation. Usually, mornings were just another stretch of time to endure, a blur of scavenging for food, dodging judgmental glares, and wondering how he'd make it through another day. But today was different. Today, he had an appointment with one of the richest men in the world. By the time Benny arrived at the Tesla showroom, the sun was high, casting a warm glow over the sleek building. His heart pounded as he looked around, half expecting Elon Musk to be a no-show. But there he was, standing near the entrance, dressed casually in a black t-shirt and jeans, as if this were just another day in his extraordinary life. Elon spotted Benny and waved him over. "Glad you came," he said, his tone friendly but businesslike. "Let's take a walk." Benny followed him, feeling both out of place and oddly hopeful. As they strolled through the bustling streets of Los Angeles, Elon began to speak. "People often assume homelessness is just about a lack of resources," he said, his voice thoughtful. "But it's more than that. It's a lack of opportunity, structure, and most importantly, belief. Belief in oneself and belief from others." Benny listened intently, unsure where this was going, but fascinated by the billionaire's words. "So why are you telling me this?" he finally asked. Elon stopped walking and turned to face him. "Because I want to try something new. Tesla isn't just a car company. It's a company built on the idea of solving big problems. We're launching a new program to help people like you rebuild their lives, but I need someone to test it first. Someone who's willing to take a chance." Benny raised an eyebrow. "You want me to test it?" Elon smiled faintly. "Because you asked for $1 yesterday. Today, instead of walking away, I saw potential in you. You're bold enough to take a chance, and that's exactly what I need." He gestured toward a nearby parking lot where a shiny Tesla Model S was parked. "Here's the deal. I want you to be the first participant in this program. We'll give you access to resources, tools, and opportunities, but you have to prove you're up to the challenge. Each step will test your determination, creativity, and willingness to grow." Benny stared at the car, his mind racing. "Wait, you want me to do something with that?" Elon nodded. "I want you to drive it through downtown Los Angeles without breaking a single traffic rule." Benny's stomach sank. "I've never driven a car before," he admitted. "That's fine," Elon said without hesitation. "We'll teach you. Think of it as a crash course. Figuratively, of course." Before Benny could protest further, a Tesla driving instructor approached, carrying a clipboard and a reassuring smile. "Hi, Benny," she said. "I'm Clara. I'll be helping you get the hang of things today." The next few hours were a whirlwind of instructions, practice runs, and moments of sheer terror. Benny clutched the steering wheel as if his life depended on it, his palms sweaty and his heart racing. Every time he pressed the accelerator, the Model S, with its sleek design and futuristic controls, felt more like a spaceship than a car. "Relax," Clara said gently. "The car is designed to assist you, but it still needs your input. Trust the technology in yourself." By the end of the session, Benny had managed to navigate a quiet parking lot without incident. It wasn't much, but it was a start. As he stepped out of the car, exhausted but oddly exhilarated, Elon approached. "How'd it go?" he asked. Clara smiled. "He's a quick learner. With a little more practice, I think he can handle the challenge." Elon looked at Benny, his expression serious but impressed. "Good job. This is just the beginning. Let's see what you're capable of next." Benny's heart raced. He had no idea where this was going, but for the first time in a long while, he felt like he had a shot at something better. The days that followed were a blur of challenges and victories. Each task Elon set for Benny seemed harder than the last, pushing him further out of his comfort zone. But Benny kept surprising himself. He navigated a series of social tests where he had to interact with strangers and show his ability to think on his feet. He learned to manage finances, creating a budget from the small stipend Elon provided. And with each passing day, he grew stronger, more confident, more aware of his potential. Months passed, and Benny, the man who had once been invisible on the streets of Los Angeles, was now unrecognizable. No longer living under an overpass, he had moved into a small apartment with a modest job at one of Tesla's partners. But more than that, he had become a symbol of the program Elon had launched, a real-world success story. One day, as Benny stood outside the Tesla showroom, now an ambassador for the project, he saw a familiar black t-shirt and jeans approach. Elon Musk smiled as he walked over, extending his hand. "You did it," Elon said, his voice filled with pride. "You proved that, with the right support and belief, anything is possible." Benny shook his hand, his heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you for seeing me, for believing in me when no one else did." Elon nodded, his eyes thoughtful. "It wasn't me who believed in you. It was always in you. I just gave you the chance to see it for yourself." And in that moment, Benny understood. It wasn't about the money or the opportunities Elon had given him. It was about the belief, the faith that someone had in him when he had lost all faith in himself. That was what had changed everything. As Elon turned to walk away, Benny looked up at the sky, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. He wasn't just a homeless man anymore. He was someone who had found his way back from the edge, and he was ready for whatever came next. The sun was setting over Los Angeles, casting a golden hue over the city, and for the first time in years, Benny felt like he had a future.